All right, I'd like to discuss that a little bit today in this format. I'd like for you to tell me the ones that were most significant to you. I want us to look them up together for our discussion. Some that jumped out to you maybe. Our list is pretty long, and then Miss Judy gave me even more. And so the one I have is obviously not exhaustive. Anybody have a particular favorite?
Born of a Virgin.
Okay, which one is that?
No, I don't have it in front of me.
Marvin. You wrote notes on everything else, Miss Judy. You should have those notes. Question marks by 2? We can get to that. I think 9:6 is your...
It's early.
No, 9:6 is for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. So you looked them up and just...
I like the stuff well, I don't like it, but the fact that Isaiah 53 tells you so much of the crucifixion when the crucifixion had not even been considered at that time.
Right, as a form of punishment. Miss Judy says that of all the prophecies, Isaiah 53 is the most significant to her because of the details about the crucifixion, when crucifixion was not even a form of punishment at that time. Good. Good. Marvin said that being born of a virgin. All right. It's one thing you do have to be careful about in your different Bible translations is that word being changed. Born of a young woman. There's a big difference between a virgin and a young woman. And so be careful about that. Anybody else? Which one is that? Isaiah 28. Let's look there. 28:16. First Peter 2:6 is its counterpart. I'm actually quoting it. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. He that believeth shall not make haste. And then 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 6, wherefore also it is contained in the Scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious. He that believeth on him shall not be confounded. All right. I know the cornerstone part is significant prophetically. But what's significant about the last part of the verse? He that believeth shall not make haste. And then the change in 1 Peter, he that believeth shall not be confounded. No, one's in Isaiah and one's in 1 Peter chapter 2. What does it mean about me believing and not making haste? What does haste mean?
A hasty decision.
Okay, it's a hastiness, it's a fretfulness, it is a hurriedness because you're trying to accomplish things and you're moving quickly and you're not. Someone who believes and trusts in the Lord is not led into hasty decisions, is not led into fretfulness and rushing about and worrying about things and being overwhelmed with the amount of decisions that they have to make. He'll not be confounded or confused. It's just promising us that if we rest on the cornerstone, it gives us a good foundation and we can make wise decisions. See, that's one thing I love about the Bible is that the prophecy, even though it's beautiful, it's practical. Right? It's not just that Jesus is the cornerstone. No, he's the cornerstone upon which we rest. He's our foundation. And because of that, I live my days in peace and serenity because I'm trusting in him. That's the beauty of it. Good. Marvin, was your hand up?
Yes, I found that. It's Isaiah 7:14.
Isaiah 7:14. I should have known that. All right, Isaiah 7:14. And we know the counterpart to this. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and shall bear a son, shall call his name Emmanuel. Do you know what it says in the New Testament counterpart about him being called Emmanuel or Jesus? For he shall do something. You might remember? He shall save his people from their sin. All right? That's an awesome thing to think about. What does it mean, save you from your sin?
From the original sin they got from Adam.
Okay, all right, that's part of it. All right, but here's the idea. Most of the time when we think about being saved from sin, we think about being cleansed of sin. What is being saved from sin? See, sometimes in our preaching, we just give a tenth or a tithe of the message, right? Being saved from sin is not just being cleansed from it, not just being delivered from the penalty of past sin. That's wonderful. That's wonderful in the original state when I get saved, that my past is forgiven and I'm cleansed. But what is being saved from sin? Fundamentally, he's telling us that Jesus has broken sin's power over me and you. All right? Those who alliterate, and some people work way too hard at it, so I hesitate to even say this. He delivers us from sin's penalty. All right? Because he takes care of that. He delivers us from power, and then one day we will be delivered from his presence. From sin's presence when we get to heaven, because it will no longer be with us at all. All right? But in reality, most of our singing and rejoicing is about which particular part? Being cleansed of the penalty, that being taken away from me. All right? That's wonderful. But when did that happen? Well, for me, that happened at age 5, which is just 39 years ago. Right? That's a wonderful thing to meditate. But can I live on this forever, that my sins are forgiven? I need something to carry me through today and give me power over sin. So I'm thankful that I'm forgiven, but I still have things in my life that dominate me. You know what I'm talking about? I'm the only one? Surely not. No? All right. The blood of Jesus purchased for me victory over the power. And then we sing a lot about this too. You know, it's kind of like this idea. Look. All right. Most of our rejoicing deals with the past and the future. Right? I mean, take your hymn book and flip it open somewhere. We're singing about all the wonderful things that my sins are forgiven. They're gone. I can't wait till I get to heaven. You know, you ever seen this anywhere else in the Bible? Remember in John chapter 11? Jesus comes, Lazarus has died. Mary comes in, Martha comes out to him. She says, if you had been here, my brother had not died. He said, your brother will live again. She said, oh, I know he'll live again in the resurrection. He said, I am the resurrection and the life. It's a present tense thing. And when you enter into the truth of the delivering power of the blood of Jesus, present tense in my life, that's real Christianity. I rejoice that the penalty is gone. All right? But there are a lot of people whose penalty has been taken care of, who are living defeated lives and are never being used for God because they can't get over this power that sin has over them. This was one for me at the cross too. Now, this is a sensitive thing to me because I deal with guys who have addiction problems. All right, what is the secret? Try. Oh, wow. How many have tried? Every one of them in there has tried, all right? It's not in my trying. Yes, I need determination. Yes, I need to do my best, but I need to enter in what's purchased for me on the cross. And it was not just deliverance from the penalty of sin, it was deliverance from the power of sin as well. Romans chapter 6 makes that clear. I am free from sin. It shall no longer have dominion over me. All right? Most addicts that I talk to, their idea is like, there it is. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I promise I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I mean it. This time I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I did it. Been down that road? Some of us have. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. Well, see, we're the only people in the world who, if we rely on the power of Jesus Christ, have the power to say, no, I found something better, and it's delivered me. I don't have to give in. I don't have to give in anymore. That's why I tell the guys at the mission, now that you're saved, before you were a slave, you had no choice. Your choice. There's only one thing alive in you. We talk about man. I know this is off the subject, but Susan's here. I want to make sure she gets her money's worth. It's just all right. She stayed for this, so it's got to be good. All right. When we talk about a man, all right, what are we? Ultimately, we're soul, right? That's what we are. That is us. That is you. Our soul is housed in a what? In a body, all right? In a body. All right? Now, our soul is made up. Three things make you who you are. All right? Your mind, your emotion, your will make you who you are, and it's housed in this body. All right? Before a man gets saved, that's all he has. Right? That's what he has. Because the other part of him is dead. He's a dead man. When he gets saved, what does God give him that he had not had before? What does God awaken? His spirit. That's exactly right. This is the part that responds to spiritual things. Right? The natural man does not have that as foolishness unto him because it's spiritually discerned. He cannot grasp it. Right? We term it body, but what's the Bible give it? Flesh. There's a fleshly part of us. It's our base appetites. The men and I were studying this morning. None of y'all have stopped by for our 7 o'clock devotion yet, and I'm really getting discouraged about that. And I just want y'all to know that it's just bad. But this morning at about 7:15, we were talking in 2 Peter about those who are given to fleshly lust. That's what the Bible talks about. And it's not just the sexual appetites that come to mind. Fleshly lust or any of the base desires. In fact, the Bible uses the term a brute beast. Acting like an animal, all right? And one of the things I talked about with the guys at the mission was the fact that oftentimes the compulsive behavior that led us to be an addict with illegal substances before, now that I'm at the mission and I don't have the illegal substances, makes me use that same compulsive behavior toward things that I can have. And so guys come to the mission, they're skin and bones, they're 6 months, and they've gained 75 pounds. Stop eating, all right? I mean, it's. And I watched one of the guys, and it was like 8:15. And he was in the kitchen making himself a big sandwich. I said, "Did you eat breakfast?" He was like, "Yeah, but that was like an hour and a half ago." I was like, "Really?" I said, "You're going to be huge by the time you leave the mission." All right? And it's why? It's just the natural state of the human heart. All right? When at the mission, when a guy comes to mission, one of the first things we establish is that we have to get on a routine. Our guys get up at 5:45 every morning. Every morning. Why? Because Dusty makes them? Yeah. Somebody has to make Dusty get up too, all right? Because what's a natural tendency in my heart? I'd stay in bed all day. I want to be in bed now. Hurry up, brother Dusty. Let's go, all right? That's a natural tendency. That could become a base desire, all right? I need sleep. I need food, but those things can dominate me, all right? But I'm the only one in the world as a saved man who this part has been made alive. The Bible tells me to put off this man, mortify him, count him as dead, reckon it to be so, and live in this world. All right? I live in this world. And then it tells me to renew my mind with the spiritual life, yield my will, and God takes care of my emotions because he channels them in the right direction. All right? That's who we are. So when a man comes to the mission and he's not saved, I expect him to act just like this. He's base. All right? He is. And if you see one of the guys looking at you on the mission, he looks at you leeringly or a little weird, he just needs the Lord. All right? That's the natural heart. All right? Oh, a tiger bit me. Well, that's what tigers do. Stay away from them. All right? That's the natural responses of the human heart. And sometimes we act shocked because the heathen act like heathen. Well, what do you expect out of them? That's what they are. All right? And until God bursts in them and places his spirit, that side of them is dead. And so you can be a moral heathen or an immoral heathen, but you're still a heathen. All right? He shall save his people from their sin. It is the power that God gives us. And this is what I need. All right? This frees me from the guilt. Brother, I need something to help me live today. Help me do right today. All right? And it's purchased for me on the cross too. Emmanuel. Save his people from sin. Anybody else have another prophecy? Chapter 9?
I guess it was because there were verses that I
Learn as a child, yeah.
the people walked in a great light, that walked in darkness and seen a great light. And then 6, for unto us a child is born. We hear it so much at Christmas.
Right. Notice, let's see, verse 6. Let's read 6 and 7. Because there's a little part. I've noticed sometimes I have a problem getting caught up in the first parts of the verse and the wonder of it. I don't read the whole thing, and there's some great things I miss. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. The government shall be upon his shoulder. His name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Those are all good things. Keep reading. Verse 7, of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end. All right, continue growing. Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. All right, it says that he's coming and his kingdom will continue to grow and there will be no end to it until it's consummated. But what is it that accomplishes that? What particular thing in verse 7 at the end of it? The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform it. What brings about the kingdom of God? You know what he's talking about? The kingdom? Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Father, Prince of Peace, increase of his government and peace. There shall be no end. You settle on the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order. It's talking about his kingdom, right? Right? What accomplishes it? The zeal of the Lord of hosts. Really what I want you to grasp from that is it's not up to me to bring in the kingdom. Some people talk about it like it's my responsibility. No, it's God's job to bring in the kingdom. All right? He's given me responsibility, things I'm supposed to do for him. But the tasks that lie before me are not up to me. God said, I'll do it. I'll do it. I want to show you a verse, and I think it may be in Isaiah, but I'm going to have to search it because it just popped in my head and I'm not ready for it. Hang on just a second. I have a handy Bible app, and we will find it. Unless you know where it's listed in Scripture where God calls Jacob a worm. Nobody? Oh, it is Isaiah. Isaiah 41. Look there with me. Now remember that Isaiah is writing to people. We're going to go through some verses, and this was probably one of the ones we're going to discuss anyway, so we'll just jump ahead. But Isaiah is writing to people who are going to enter into captivity. All right? When you enter into captivity, by very definition, are you a victorious people or are you a defeated people? Defeated people. And because you are defeated, are you hopeful or hopeless? Hopeless, even to the point of despair. All right? You've been yanked out of your homeland. You've been dragged hundreds and thousands of miles, placed in a land where you do not know the language and the culture, separated from your religious center, separated from the ability to perform your religion because you cannot offer sacrifices. There is no high priest, and you're forced to be around the paganism of the country that you're in, and you're despised and rejected as an outcast people and a defeated people, and you're thrust into that. And then God begins to speak to you. Now notice what he says. If you will look in verse 13, kind of jumping in the middle of the flow of things, but no, let's look at verse 10 because that's just a really good verse and most of you know it. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. If you were in Israel or Judah's position, would you be fearful in a strange land? Would you be dismayed? Absolutely. All the circumstances are against you. Behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish. Thou shalt seek them, and thou shalt not find them, even them that contend with thee. They that war against thee shall be as nothing and as a thing of naught. For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, I will help thee. I will help thee. Then he says this, Fear not thou, worm Jacob. All right, who's he talking to when he says Jacob? It's unto Israel, all right, his people. What does he call them? A worm. That's encouraging, isn't it? Bunch of worms. Fear not thou worm, Jacob, and ye men of Israel, I will help thee, saith the Lord, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and thou shalt make the hills as chaff. He said the worm would have what? Teeth. And what would the teeth do? Thresh the mountains and beat them down and make them like chaff. So God said, I recognize you in your helplessness, Jacob, and I will help you. And when I help you, you will be like a sharp threshing instrument having teeth, and you will destroy mountains. A normal idea of mountain, is that a hindrance or an aid to my return? It's a hindrance. God said, you'll knock those mountains down like a sharp threshing instrument, even though you are a worm. See, there's a promise. You'll know the story of when the children of Israel came to the land of Israel. Before it was Israel, it was the land of Canaan. And they stood on the eastern side of the Jordan River. And Moses sent in 12 spies. You know the song? 12 men went to spy out Canaan, 10 were bad and 2 were good. You know that song? You know that song, Miss Judy? You know all the Bible songs. 12 men went to spy on Canaan, 10 were bad and 2 were good. You know, I'll teach it to you later. That's a totally different class. 10 went in and said, it's a beautiful land, it's wonderful, but there's giants in the land. 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, came back and said, yeah, there's giants in the land, but we are well able to take it. Not just able, well able. And God has been driving that home in my mind in regards to the mission and the things that are going on in my life personally, that He's not just able, He is well able to handle these things. And these verses keep popping in my mind, and I was not prepared to discuss them with you, but I'm going to find it. Hang on. If I could spell, it would speed it up. That's 2 times. Hang on just a second. It's a good verse. 30:15, Isaiah 30:15. Popped in my head. Now, God is using this verse as a rebuke to Israel, but what He states is very revealing. Chapter 30. All right, verse 15. For thus saith the Lord God, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest ye shall be saved, in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and ye would not. Can I tell you what's going on here? All right. Judah is being pinched, remember, between a northern power and a southern power. Do you remember who they are? All right, Assyria to the north, and who in the south? Sea of Galilee, Dead Sea, Jordan River. All right, have Assyria, Egypt. Now remember, this is a trade route because it is the land bridge between 3 continents: Africa, Europe, and Asia. So trade is constantly flowing through there. So whoever controls this area can control the commerce. And so it was vital financially and militarily because of the warm water port to the Mediterranean Sea and the ability to go down and up into the different continents. And so they're all trying to control this land. And so Judah, which is located in the southern half down here, about Jerusalem, waffled between the two, all right? For a while, it was a vassal to Assyria, and vassal simply means paying for their protection. But when Hezekiah rebelled against Assyria, he appealed to Egypt to come and help him and protect him against Assyria. And Isaiah in this passage is reproving the children of Israel for putting confidence in Egypt. He said, don't look to Egypt for your strength. Where is your strength? Verse 15. Returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength, and ye would not. What is your strength? Joy of the Lord is our strength, and it comes from quietness and confidence. What is the greatest activity that you can perform as a Christian? Be still and wait on God and know who He is. Be still, all right? You remember the children of Israel standing at the Red Sea? Water in front of them, Egyptians behind them. Is that a stressful time? Is it a fearful time? Yeah. The Egyptians didn't come for a Bible study. They came to kill them, take them back and make them slaves. And then Moses tells them, stand still. See the salvation of the Lord. Hold your peace. The Lord will deliver us. And then God tells them, go forward. Go forward. And I don't believe, like in the movies, that Moses stood there and all of a sudden the water went all the way down. All right? That takes some faith. But I believe the water parted when Moses went, okay, God. Just like the high priest had to do in the Jordan River. When their feet touched the water, then the water parted. That's faith. I mean, you're standing on the brink of the, okay, here we go. Wow. Wow. That's the idea, all right? And so the water parts, but what did the children of Israel have to learn to do before they could ever go forward? Before you can ever go forward, what do you have to learn how to do? Stand still. That's the first part. Stand still. See the salvation of the Lord. Then you can learn to go forward. Right? Was it a mighty miracle for the children of Israel to move forward? Yes. And it's a mighty miracle when you move forward too, because it takes the power of God to teach you to be still, first of all. What is your strength? According to this verse, quietness and confidence. In returning and rest ye shall be saved. In quietness and in confidence. All right? What is God wanting from you? Not your manipulation to try to make it work out, not your busyness on His behalf. He wants you to learn how to be still, wait on Him in quietness and confidence. I've had to wait on God before because He boxed me in a corner. But waiting with quietness, oh, brother, do you know what's going on? Have you heard? It's just, oh, brother, it's just, how you doing? Oh, it's awful. It's, I can't be quiet. I'm posting it everywhere on Facebook. I'll always pray for my family. Quietness. Quietness, all right? Facebook has become the medium for the narcissistic. I mean, I'm sorry, just splattered everywhere. I'm speaking in general terms. I understand that. But sometimes it just gives a platform to people who just need to learn to just be quiet. Just be quiet. Quiet and confidence. What is confidence? It's this calm assurance that God's in charge, all right? When do I have the right to be a victorious Christian? Is that a circumstantial thing? Absolutely not. It's not circumstantial. I'm a victorious Christian every day. Every day. Now, when I hear bad news sometimes, it makes the boat rock a little bit. The Bible tells us that the righteous man shall not be moved. What does that mean? He's not washed away and with every little whim and noise and everything. It's just steady on, quietness and confidence. God says learn how to stand still. What does your manipulation of the situation actually do? Does it speed up or impede your progress? It impedes it, all right? You think you're helping God, you're hindering Him. I've told you this illustration before, but the Lord illustrated it to me best with my youngest son, Andrew. He's 12 now, but when he was 3 or 4 years old, those of you who've had the experience of trying to dress a 3-year-old, 4-year-old boy for church, it's a wonderful thing, all right? He looks perfect for about 3 seconds, and then it's over. But I'd say, all right, buddy, let's put your belt on. And I'd start on his belt, and he'd go. I'd say, stop. I don't need your help. Stop. And I'd start putting it through. I'd say, raise your hand, son. And he had it down. He'd raise his hands. I'd say, okay, turn. And he would turn while I'd run it through all the loops. Then I would fix it in the front. I'd say, okay, now you're free to go. right? I don't need your help. I know what I'm doing. Your hands are not helping me get your belt on. You're slowing me down, and I'm in a hurry. And God wants you to understand that your hands and everything trying to manipulate and work and make these phone calls to make this. No, you just need to learn to wait on God. God. You need to do something. No, you need to be something. Be something. And then God will show you what to do. So you don't waste your energy doing things that are not His perfect will for your life. All right? It's hard to learn to sit still. I'm just a man of action. I got to make things happen. That's the problem. That's a confidence in yourself rather than a confidence in God. And He wants you to learn how to sit still. And if you don't learn how to sit still, He will put you in a situation and teach you how to sit still. He'll put you in a place where you can't do anything about it at all. You have to learn to either live with an ulcer or trust Him. Trust Him. Most of us in this room have been saved long enough to understand and live through enough to look back and say, oh, should have trusted. Should have had confidence. Should have waited. Should have shut up. He knew what He was doing. All right? Now, it's frustrating to wait on God, isn't it? You enjoy waiting? Sometimes I just go to Carowinds, I don't even want to ride. I just want to stand in line. Really? Nobody says that. That's the worst part of it. Notice verse 18. No, let's back up. I keep seeing things I want to talk about. Remember, this is the battle that they're worried about. They wouldn't listen to God. Verse 16, but ye said, no, for we will flee upon horses, therefore shall ye flee. And we will ride upon the swift, therefore shall they that pursue you shall be swift. They said, we're going to get some horses and we're going to fight. And God said, yes, you are. Go right ahead. You think you're going to be so fast? Well, the people who are chasing you are going to be just as fast. All right? 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one. At the rebuke of 5 shall ye flee till ye be left as a beacon upon the top of the mountain and as an ensign on a hill. He's just showing you that all your efforts are futile. If you just trusted in Him, He would have handled the situation. Verse 18, and therefore will the Lord wait. Why is He waiting? Notice it. And you can say it too. Somebody say it. Therefore will the Lord wait, verse 18, that He may be gracious unto you. What does the devil tell you the reason why God is waiting? What does he tell you? He's not waiting because He's gracious. He's waiting because He's forgotten. He's waiting because you've angered Him. He's waiting because you have done something wrong and it is your punishment. He said, no, I wait to be gracious unto you, and therefore will He be exalted, that He may have mercy upon you. For the Lord is a God of judgment. And blessed are all they that wait for Him. It says God waits, and so you should learn to wait. And there's a special blessing for the man who learns to wait. Verse 19, for the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. Thou shalt weep no more. He will be very gracious unto thee at the voice of thy cry. When he shall hear it, He will answer thee. So why does He want us to learn to wait? So He can be very gracious unto us. So is God's waiting a sign that He has forgotten, or a sign that He is intensifying His purposes for you? All right. Someone find for me the story of the Syrophoenician woman in the Gospels. I'm going to look it up here. That would help if I had help. The Bible actually uses the word Syrophoenician. Mark 7. Good. Thank you for your help. Worthless. What? I should show you something. Mark 7. Someone had to tore Mark out of my Bible, evidently. One of my favorite Bible stories. Verse 24. And from thence he arose and went to the borders of Tyre and Sidon and entered into a house and would have no man know it, but he could not be hid. What does that mean, he couldn't be hid? When you think about it, if a man has the ability to raise the dead and cause the blind to see and heal the sick, and he comes to your town, you think You think he can just walk around in anonymity? No way. People will be beating down his door. Besides that, he fed 5,000 people with 2 loaves and fish. I want to see something. Feed me. And he told the people, that's why you're coming after me. You want to see the miracles, all right? And wouldn't you? Yeah, we pay people money to do tricks in front of us. And we know it's not magic. But this man performed actual miracles. What kind of following did he have? They thronged him all day long. Do you know how it is to deal with people all day long? It's frustrating. Sometimes just leave me alone. All right? I'm tired of people pulling at me and asking me questions. Brother Dusty, I got to call this, got to do this. My phone rings one more time, I'm going to sling it up against the wall. And I've done that before. I don't want to admit it, but I have. All right? I realized that was really stupid. Now I got to buy a new phone. It's just dumb. All right? It felt good for like 1 second. All right? Stupid. All right? But the point I'm making is that did you ever hear Jesus? Did you read that verse where he said, stop messing with me. Don't nobody call my name. One more time, I'm sick of it. Peter, get out of my face. He never responded with the frustration. Never. So he goes to a house and would have no man know it. Why does he want to go there and nobody know it? He's tired. He's in a human body. Sometimes he got in the boat to cross to the other side so he could sleep, right? Because people leave him alone. So he tries to hide, but he cannot be hid. Verse 25, for a certain woman whose young daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell at his feet. The woman was a Greek, a Syrophoenician by nation, and she besought him that he would cast forth the devil out of her daughter. She had a demon-possessed daughter, right? And don't think that's just in Bible times. There are demon-possessed daughters and sons now too. But Jesus said unto her, let the children first be filled, for it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it unto the dogs. Who has a reference Bible? What other gospel tells this story? Sometimes there's headings over it. Matthew 15. There's a point I want you to notice in Matthew 15 because she initially asked him twice. Let's see. Yeah, verse 22. Behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy upon me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. First time, he didn't even answer her. She called him Jesus, thou son of David, Jewish title. She's a Greek. He didn't answer her. You ever think about that? Okay, what did Jesus come to do? His express purpose, what did he come to do? Well, he came to seek and to save that which was lost. That's what he said, all right? That's what he said. So a woman cries out to him, and he keeps right on walking and doesn't even answer, completely ignores her. How does that make you feel about God? Well, she didn't know those verses, but that's true, all right? Why didn't he answer her? All right, he didn't come to the Gentiles, but he sure did save a lot of them. All right? But what was the main reason why he ignored her or made her think he was ignoring her? When you want something and it's denied you, what does it do to your desire? It intensifies it. Absolutely. Intensifies it. All right? She had expressed an element of faith. Hadn't she? How did she express faith? She came to him in the first place, all right? She sought him out. That's faith, all right? This man has some power. Hey, Jesus, my daughter's faith. Just ignores her, all right? Which produced in her a greater faith. Well, what is it that pleases God? It's faith, all right? And so he produces the resistance necessary to increase her faith, all right? The Bible tells us stories about praying, man knocking at midnight. He beat all the more and would not quit. Right? Sometimes the denial is simply to provoke you to greater faith because God wants to be able to give you everything you want. Right? And so he doesn't answer her at all. And then he says, I'm only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. You can stay in Matthew 16 since we're here. Verse 25. It's beautiful. Then came she and, what's the verse say? Worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. Jesus has never denied that cry. Lord, I recognize my place before you. Lord, help me. And then Jesus makes this statement. It's not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. Okay? What's the word dog? What is that? All right, it's a racial slur. That's what it is, a racial slur. The Jews called the Gentiles dogs. Jesus used a racial slur. Has God ever responded to you like that? You prayed? Stupid honky, not answering your prayer. Cracker, leave me alone. When I talk about this at the mission, I always tell Sam, man, you get down and pray, and God says, nigger, please, stop it. Get on somewhere. Right? That's what he used. I'm not being crude. That's what he used. He used a racial slur. He said, it's not me to take the children's bread and give them to the dogs. Who are the children? The Jews. Who are the dogs? The Gentiles. I can't take what I came to give to them to give to you. You're a dog. That's what she said. Truth. Truth, Lord. Truth, Lord. Yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. She said, it's true, Lord, I am a dog. And you didn't answer me when I prayed. But I'm still here. And even the dogs get the crumbs that fall on the table. And Jesus said, oh woman, great is thy faith. Whatever you want, you can have it. You can have it. Why'd she get it? She was desperate. She was humble. And she never gave up. He didn't answer her a word. She didn't give up. He called her a name. And she embraced the name and used it to her advantage. Yeah, Lord, I'm a dog. But even dogs get the crumbs that fall from the master's table. What is your greatest request that you could ask God? The greatest thing. It's just a crumb of what he could do. Just a crumb. He's well able. Just a crumb. Sometimes we get overwhelmed with things. What does God identify himself as? One particular place in Scripture, Jesus states that it's harder for a rich man to come into heaven than for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. And then he said, with man it is, anybody know the word? Impossible. But with God, all things are possible. All right? So he is the God of the impossible. Right? In order for him to demonstrate his ability to be the God of the impossible, where must he place you? In an impossible situation, all right? And he tells you just to pile up the impossibilities one on top of the other until they almost overwhelm you. So he can illustrate that he is the God who can step in and even operate contrary to means and show you he's the God of impossible. So when God does not answer you, when he denies your request, when he seems to act curlish to you or rude to you, how do you respond? When you see somebody else's prayers answered, and you've been praying for the same thing longer than they have, it's hard to take, isn't it? It's a bitter pill to swallow. Sometimes people that you would almost consider your enemy, you see God blessing them, and you know they ain't doing right. My heart gets like that. But God said, if you really understand who I am and my love for you, you can rejoice with your brother when he gets a blessing, even if it's something that you wanted. But just wait. Just wait. I'll show you something. I'll show you something. I feel like I'm preaching tonight. I'm going to give an invitation in a minute. Rich, would you bring the offering plates up? We'll just go ahead and do that too. Do y'all remember the story of the three trees? I told you that before? Nobody? Don't remember that story? Well, it helps me and my kids understand that whole part about waiting on God and misunderstanding God. It's a Christmas story, but there are three trees that stand on the hillside. They're talking with each other about what they want to be when they become mighty trees. Now, first stated, well, what I want to be is I want to be cut down and made into a treasure chest and filled with jewels and precious things and just priceless items. That's what I want to be. And the second replied, well, I want to be cut down and made into a mighty ship, and I want to carry kings into battle. He said, I want to be a warship. And the third was one of those super spiritual trees. Said, I just want to stand on the hillside and point people to God. And the other two laughed at him. Then one day the woodcutters came in through the forest and they cut down the first tree. And he rejoiced, said goodbye to his tree mates, and they drug him out and they made him into a box. And they placed him in a barn, and they filled the box with feed, and the cattle began to eat out of it. And he said, God, this is not what I asked for. It's not fair. God said, just wait. I'll show you something. And then the woodcutters came to the woods and they cut down the second tree. And sure enough, they made him into a boat. A boat that was sold to a fisherman. And he had stinking bait and fish and smelly men in him all day long. And he said, God, that's not what I asked for. I wanted to carry kings into battle. And I have stinky fishermen in me all day. It's not fair. God said, just wait. I'll show you something. And then much to the third tree's dismay, the woodcutters came and began to cut it down. And it said, God, all I asked for was the ability to point people to you on the hillside. It's not fair. And God said, just wait. I'll show you something. And then one day she brought forth her firstborn son, and she laid him in a box in a barn. And as the first tree heard the child cry and saw the shepherds come to adore him, it knew that it held the most precious treasure a box could ever hold. And it said, I'm sorry, God, for not trusting you. God said, I told you if you just wait, I'd show you something. And then there came a night when the little boat was in the midst of a mighty storm, and the waves were washing over the bow, and the men inside were afraid. But there was a man on the back who was asleep, and he walked to the bow of the boat, and he cried, Peace, be still. And the winds and the waves ceased. And it realized it was carrying the greatest king into the greatest battle that had ever existed. And he said, I'm sorry, God, for doubting you. God said, I told you if you just wait, I'd show you something. Then there came the day when two soldiers came into the lumber yard and grabbed pieces of tree number 3 and made it into a cross. And when the tree heard the man writhe in agony and say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? It understood that it would stand on the hillside and point people to God for all eternity. And it said, God, I'm sorry I doubted you. God said, I told you if you just wait, I'd show you something. You will misunderstand God. You will judge him by your limited understanding. You will judge his faithfulness by your faithfulness. And you will say things about him that are not so. But if you'll just wait in quietness and in confidence, he'll give you strength, and he will be very gracious unto you. All of you are going through things I don't know anything about, and I'm going through stuff you don't know anything about. But God knows all about it. And his plans for me are always better than my plans for me, and we can trust him. Now, I don't know how I got all the way there from Isaiah, but there we are, and maybe the Lord needed it. I do want to tell you this, particularly James. I noticed that last week you posted on Facebook about the hammers that we talked about last week. All last week, God beat me over the head with hammers. It was one of the worst weeks I had. And I was laying in bed. Oh, I was so aggravated. Oh, I was mad. I was mad at Anna. I was mad at just one of those things. I was mad at another particular person. I was mad at this. And God whispered in my ear, he said, they're just hammers. You're mad at the wrong person. I'm doing it. This thing is for me. Trust me. Peace came in my heart. I rolled over and went to bed. And it was a wonderful sleep. Just not long enough. So don't post anything else on Facebook to remind me of what I said, because then I have to live it. That's a difficult thing. But no, it's good. So I'm going to stop there. I don't feel like I could add anything else if we change gears or whatever. I'll lose what God has for you tonight.